Good morning, Jason.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. I'm gonna go in there and check the audio in the courtroom and I'll be right back. You're my sounding board though.
Okay.
Jason, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Good. I can hear you very good.
Awesome. I'm gonna see if Carolyn's mic is on. Can you hear me from here?
Yes, ma'am.
I think I may finally get this thing figured out.
When it's about time for it to be over.
Okay. Well, I need to be back at the other computer so I can admit people. It's already streaming live on YouTube, so we are good to go.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. Not that is loud. You want to be in here? Okay.
Here, I'm
Okay.
sorry.
No, that's fine. I can't, I won't have you all on screen then.
Yeah, just,
Oh, do you have your cell phone? You have a good battery on it?
is it what?
Is your battery full?
Yes,
Do you have Zoom on there?
yes.
Can you put it on there and just have it in front of you so that people can see you? And that way you'll pop up this way. Phone in front of Robert, like I did last week.
If you'll work it.
Yeah.
I said it will. Oh, get into it.
Okay.
So you need the,
You have a Zoom app?
you need the,
Need the, hold on. Do you have a Zoom icon?
no,
Okay,
no, I can't. Not on
I
this.
gotta think.
If you put it on. Let's see.
There's a Zoom free app. Can I do
Okay,
that?
all right.
Did you have a good weekend? Did you talk to,
Mhm.
the judge was looking for you before you, go in there? Will you go down? Because he said he wanted to talk to you before Commissioner's Court.
Okay. What you doing now? I'll run down.
Okay, sounds good.
Oh, Robert.
I'm good, how are you?
Good. Yeah, a good weekend?
Oh, yeah.
Too short, but.
Yeah.
Mike. I don't have your fingerprint. Thank you.
Morning, Gene.
Good morning, how are you this morning?
I am good, how are you?
I didn't want to interrupt you, looked like you were very busy.
Well, I combined, get the stuff ready. Nothing going on, see.
today? Jed, can you hear me today?
Yes, ma'am, I can hear you fine.
Okay, good.
Can you hear me okay?
Can. I know you had some audio problems last week, so I want to make sure you're good. Mike, I needed.
I don't know what, probably with my system.
Hey, Jed,
Yes, sir.
you have a little bit of delay this morning.
Okay,
Just telling you.
what's the deal?
I don't know.
Rain?
It's probably internet, but
Could be it rained, reckon.
might be.
How much do you get a bunch?
We got an inch and a half Saturday night here at the barn.
Right.
Does not happen. It goes off, goes off. Morning, Jason.
You're live on YouTube. Let me see. It shows here that you're muted. Let me unmute you maybe. No, it's gonna ask you to.
They come.
Okay.
Okay, I hear you. Hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Morning, Jason.
Morning.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's see.
I want to make sure you don't need feedback in there.
Morning, Dean. Is that the new hire for y'all's office? Is that the new hire?
Looks pretty good.
Yeah, I like it. Just a 30-minute lunch.
Lots of feedback.
Mike, make sure you're.
It sounds
muted.
like.
You want Sonia?
I said, keep yours muted.
Okay.
Did you find your gooseneck ball?
Yes, in Stephenville.
Sure. Left in about another 50 pounds on camp.
Well, I hope that don't happen.
Oh, that explains that. I come in almost 6 of them.
Yeah, no, perfect.
That's right, you were done.
Did it?
Looked pretty good though.
Yeah.
That carpet back there now, man, that shit was nasty.
Where?
Yuck's office.
It was, maybe.
Yeah. He cleaned. That thing's cleaned some years, and I mean, I showed her, I sent her a picture of
Yeah, the water was black.
That's where
that DPS.
it shows this. This is what we're picking up in this one. I think
Okay, thank you. Gotcha.
Yeah, it's long.
Are the Sonia or the mics? Mics are live, and so Mike's phone should just be camera, and you should mute the microphone on your phone.
That's what I've done.
Okay.
Unless you're gonna turn it completely off and you just won't look, see me, that's fine with me.
Well, I know it's fine with you, but we're live on YouTube, so I mean, it's the public view.
now, how are we doing there? Now we don't have any. Okay.
Hey, can y'all hear us?
Yes,
Yes.
Yeah.
Robert, I need you to-
Okay, so still, we got a couple of minutes. I see, I can't make out who's in the sheriff's training room. That's probably Tina.
Yes.
Tina and Pink.
Okay,
Chris is here, James is here.
got it. Okay, I see James back in the corner, Chris. Y'all are so distant, I can't make out faces. Jason Williams, Jed Guerin. I'll see Commissioner Wright. Tarina's Busby's in her office. Gerald Hale is present. And Robert Hall is on my right. No camera. Okay,
He's about to have one.
okay.
And the Goldthwait Eagle just joined us.
Okay. And Jean is with us as a deputy clerk. Carolyn is on vacation. I don't see you.
Aren't you, Tina?
Yes, I do. It says Tom's iPhone.
I'll fix that in just a minute.
That's okay. But that's Robert Hall down there.
I'll fix that.
No, that's okay. Who's Tom? Ah, okay. Hadn't thought of that.
Maybe because mine don't.
Okay. Well, I have 9 o'clock. Commissioners Court of Mills County is in session for May 26th. We will stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and the prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Commissioner Williams, would you lead us in prayer?
Yes. Bow with me. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this beautiful day that you have granted us. Thank you for the rains that you have bestowed over our land. Lord, we want to also thank you for watching over this beloved county during these trying times. Father, be with us today as we do the business of Mills County. God, direct us as you would. In your son's name, amen.
Amen. Thank you. The first item on the agenda is the minutes of May 11th, which is in your package. Are there any questions or corrections on the minutes?
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes as presented to us this morning.
We have a motion for approval of the minutes from Commissioner Hall. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
We have a second from Commissioner Wright. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Raise your hand. Any opposed? The minutes are approved. Audience with individuals. I see no one on the Zoom screen, no one present in the room. Is there anyone that has dialed in? Hearing none, we have no individuals that are here to speak. We will move on to item 4, which is someone trying to speak?
No, you can just chairman of the sheriff's office, I think.
Okay. Item 4 is approval of accounts payable. This was distributed electronically on Friday. I had a question on the sheriff's page. Let me find it. Had to do with a camera installation. It was a couple of $4,000 or $5,000, $5,600. And my question was, Tina, didn't we get a grant for this?
No, this is the new camera we put in the training room, the one that you're seeing us on right now.
Okay,
It's going to be covered eventually under the COVID-19 grant that Tarina is going to submit for the county. along
okay.
with the
But
equipment that's going to
didn't
be-
we get a couple of camera grants recently, like in the last 3 or 4 months?
No.
Okay. Any other questions on accounts payable?
I have none. I make a meeting that we approve the accounts payable.
We have a motion from Commissioner Hall to approve accounts
I second
payable. Is there a second?
I second it.
We have a second. Commissioner Williams, any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Okay, we have approved the accounts payable. Okay, consider an act on line item budget amendments for the Sheriff's Department and Precinct 2. Ms. Busby, can you summarize this for us?
Yes, for precinct 2, he just needs more money in his repairs and maintenance. And then for the sheriff's office line item, we separated out the crime lab fees from their, and then there was a couple of other line items that they needed more money in.
So to cover on precinct 2, the repairs, the money's coming out of miscellaneous materials and tires.
Yes.
What were we repairing, Jed?
We had some unexpected repairs, and last year when we did our budget, we put part of the money out of my repairs into miscellaneous where it didn't need to be, and we never corrected it at the time and talked about later on we might have to do a line item transfer to balance that column out again.
I guess my question was, is there a specific piece of equipment that we've had to repair for $6,000?
We spent $2,200 on the service truck on the front end. I've had a lot of repair work on a 953C cat loader. And then one of the trucks has had some repair work done on it. You're gonna have to have some more. So it's just, balancing out to where I started out short on the repair and supplies to start with at the first of the year.
Okay, on the law enforcement, is anything specific in building maintenance that's become a problem? Trina or Chris? Not true, well, Tina?
We have to have a pretty good repair done to the water softener system here in the building. We have to have a new brine tank installed. So that was something that we didn't realize we were gonna have to do.
Are there any other questions on the line item transfers?
I make a motion that we approve the line item transfers for the Sheriff's Department and Precinct 2.
I'll second it.
We have a motion from Commissioner Williams, a second from Commissioner Guerin to approve the line item transfers from the Sheriff's Department, in the Sheriff's Department and in Precinct 2. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? We've approved the line item transfers. Then there's a special budget amendment involving the Sheriff's Department and the General Fund. Ms. Busby, would you elaborate?
So the one for the Sheriff's Department is for the 2 grants that they have received this current year. We just did not know if they were going to be approved when we initially started the budget, and then we never got them in there at the end.
So the grant money is in grant revenue and the grant expenses are just different, the offset.
Yes. And then the other one is just on the county attorney's salary supplement that went up by $3,500 this year. That, again, we didn't realize it was going up.
Right, so that money came in from the state after we budgeted, and this is just recognizing it.
Correct.
Any other discussion on the special budget amendments?
I'll make a motion to approve the special budget amendment for law enforcement, also for the county attorney salary supplement.
I'll second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Wright and a second from Commissioner Hall. Is there any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Motion carries. We have approved the special budget amendments. Okay, number 7, this is something I recall we did last year and maybe every year. The state forfeits unclaimed capital credits back to counties if they submit a application for them. You submit it, as I recall, not knowing how much will be coming back to you, how much is forfeited. And then we get last year, as I recall, it was a very small amount of money. Tarina, do you know how much this was last year?
To my knowledge, this current year, we never got any.
Okay.
Year, it wasn't much, but I don't recall the exact amount.
So we're requesting approval to submit a claim for unclaimed capital credits, if any, for Mills, due to Mills County. And I would move approval to submit the claim for unclaimed property capital credits.
Second.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion from Judge Smith, a second from Commissioner Guerin. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. We've approved that. Number 8, consider an act budgeted purchase of a 2020 Tahoe for the Sheriff's Department. The purchase estimate is in your package. Is there any discussion? Chief Deputy Green, this is the second vehicle y'all have purchased this year, correct?
Correct.
And this is coming from Caldwell County based on a buy board?
Yes, yes.
Is this a vehicle that is used at Caldwell County got, or is it just, we just accepted one that they didn't need?
That doesn't say county, it says country.
Caldwell Country.
I think that's the name of the dealership, possibly.
Yes.
Okay, that's fine.
So this is a new vehicle, I believe, from a Ford dealership in Caldwell.
Chevrolet.
Chevrolet. What does this replace and what happens to that vehicle?
We recently purchased another 2020. We traded in 2 patrol vehicles on it. This is just the next purchase of what we already had budgeted. We're not doing any trade-ins on this one. We already did the trade-ins on the prior. So we already traded 2 patrol vehicles in on the first, so there won't be any trade-in on this.
And in addition to this cost, then there'll be the cost of the camera, the graphics and radio, or do you, some of that pull out of the vehicles you traded in?
No, the major pieces will be transferring out of other units, to traded in units. Obviously there'll be some graphics, consoles, interior pieces like that, but the major purchases like the camera, the radar, the radio, things like that, we already have from the other vehicles.
And as from memory, your budget had 2 vehicles, and so this is the second and therefore the last budgeted vehicle purchase for the year.
Right.
Any discussion or a motion?
I make a motion, we'll approve the 2020 Chevrolet Tahoe vehicle for the sheriff's office at a price of $34,775.
I'll second it.
We have a motion from Commissioner Wright, a second from Commissioner Hall to approve the purchase. Any other discussion?
I want to say, can I say that that is going to be in the payables for this time?
Oh,
I didn't see it.
I didn't see it in the payables.
It wasn't, but I didn't see it on my emails until after I sent those to y'all Friday afternoon.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Number 9 is to consider an act on COVID-related grant applications. We have a number of grants that have come to the county, or grant opportunities that have come to the county. Some came with their own resolutions, others the resolutions are not in hand. The grants are, there's the CRF grant that stands for Coronavirus Relief Fund. That is came out of the CARES Act. That is one the governor announced maybe 2 weeks ago, that it's federal money that has come to the state and has been apportioned out at the rate of $55 per person. In Mills County, the way that would work is they would run the total county calculation and then subtract out the portion of the county that's represented by the city of Goldthwaite. They would get $55 per person potentially for that number. And then what's left is available to Mills County. The odd part about this grant is, other than signing the paperwork, they are just flat going to fund 20% of the money into our checking account with no application. But with the understanding that we will only spend it on qualifying expenses, including reimbursing ourselves. So for instance, in the accounts payable, I think the last page listed some COVID-related expenses. That's the type of thing we can reimburse ourselves on. If we're out buying masks, video conferencing equipment, hand sanitizer stations for the courthouse, direct expenses, there's a prohibition. We cannot use it to buffer a revenue shortfall or to fund things that we had otherwise budgeted for. So for instance, if we budgeted to buy a patrol car, we couldn't use this money to buy the patrol car. So we get that 20% directly deposited into our checking account. The other 80% is available with the same rules. We just have to go apply to the state for it. But to
So on the
start,
city, Judge,
what
on the
about
city, on the city's portion, does that just include Goldthwaite or does it count Mullen and Pretty too?
You got Mullen as a city.
Mullen would be a city, so they would be qualified if they file for it for $55 times, 176 people or whatever the population is.
But Pretty would not, since they're not incorporated.
That's correct.
And that's where our hot area is, isn't it? One of the areas in the county?
Yes, it is. Now, we're supposed to spend 75% of the money on, this is from memory, on direct medical related and COVID related expenses. So that would be things like masks, the video conferencing setups, hand sanitizer, overtime on first responders. And the other 25% can go for things that are secondarily related to COVID. So that's the CRF grant. The strings on all of these, and it's true on all grants, is the devil's in the bookkeeping. They make it real clear, especially since they're just funding this on a trust me, that it's subject to be audited and recaptured if we misuse it. The treasurer and I have discussed having a separate account for this money for the CRF grant. And the money's booked into that account and spent from that account only with the documentation that the treasurer can maintain that would satisfy the grant funding obligations, because we do not want to stick our grandkids, or whenever they get around to auditing this, with the risk on it.
Like I say, Judge, there's lots of paperwork, evidently.
There is. It's a little less than those old FEMA grants, but it's still, we have to be able to prove that the money was spent for the purposes in the grant. So we can't use it for budget shortfalls. We can't use it for salaries unless we were to hire, for instance, somebody just to stand outside the courthouse and check temperature, everybody coming in. That would work.
You could use it for something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that, but
if it comes down to it.
yeah. Now, hopefully we're not going to go there. So that's the CRF grant. The other one is called the HAVA grant. That's Help America Vote Act. And that is specifically for election account security. It can include COVID related stuff, including hand sanitizer and masks, but it can also include new voting machines, updated voting machines, any rearrangements we have to do because of the disease. The trick on the HAVA grant is it's a 80% grant. So 20% of the money has to come from the county. The other side of it is with the CRF money, let's just say we're buying masks for all the poll workers. We could cover 80% of that expenses through the HAVA grant, and the 20% county money can be reimbursed through the CRF grant, because those masks are a qualifying expense. That's real simplified example. but that's how these two can be used together.
Do we know, Judge, do we know how the election's gonna go? Are we gonna need a new machine, or is Carolyn and you visited, or?
Carolyn and I have visited. Honestly, at this point, we don't know what all we might need. We just want to get the application in. She's talked about it helping that we may have a requirement for new machines in the future, and that this would be a potential way to help cover the cost of it. We also,
I think Jed went and purchased, I think Jed was involved in purchasing those machines years ago.
yeah, the tendency now is they're headed back toward more of a paper trail.
Interesting.
Yeah. You know, one specific example she and I have discussed out of, we don't have the results yet, but there was a security audit done on the voting process. And one of the things they noted was security controls over the rooms in the basement where we keep the machines. And so there may need to be new locks on some doors downstairs. That would fall under this. And the final grant is a FEMA grant that's, again, for COVID-related expenses, and we don't have any paperwork on that one yet, but that would be more in the general category of PPE, personal protective equipment.
Will it have a match on it? A county match?
Yeah, it would, and the plan would be the same as on HAVA. If we do that, if we go use that, we have that CRF money available to cover the match. What I'm proposing here, or what I'm seeking, is court approval to apply for these grants. Before there's a second step, which we historically do, which is have court approval to accept the grants. So what's being asked here is to apply. When we accept, we'll know more what we're going to do, what the rules are, and we'll be back. Did I state that correctly, Karina?
Yes.
Judge, is there a deadline on these?
I believe there is a deadline on the CRF and the HAVA. There's not on the FEMA, but I couldn't tell you off the top of my head what those deadlines are. I know our most pressing deadline is on the road grants, and that deadline's tomorrow. So that's kind of where, yeah.
I didn't know whether these had a deadline on them. All of them seem to have.
I think the CRF deadline was in June. That money's already available, and they're trying to push it out. I know a number of counties have already received it. The HAVA grant just came out 10 days ago, and it had a response deadline, but I don't remember it. Gene, do you know?
Judge, I move that we apply for these various grants for the CRF, the HAVA, and the FEMA, and see if we can get qualified for any of them.
I second it.
We have a motion from Commissioner Guerin, a second from Commissioner Williams to apply for the CRF grant, the HAVA grant, and the FEMA grants. Is there any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Number 10 is consider an act on a interlocal agreement with Hamilton Hospital District. The agreement's in the file. Honestly, this is a belt and suspenders approach. We with Dr. Lee of Hamilton Hospital being named our local health authority for no compensation, that's all done. The governor ordered the testing of the nursing homes statewide, and the state's paying for it. So that was done. Now the coordination of the delivery of the test kits and the personal protective gear is being run through Texas Department of Emergency Management, and it's gotten kind of convoluted. They are coordinating then back with the local health authority, which is Dr. Lee at Hamilton Healthcare. And at the end of the day, Mills County and the 2 nursing homes find out what's going on. So the hospital district got concerned that the state equipment would not get here in time to do the test, and the hospital district was going to have to perform the test. And this interlocal agreement says they will at no charge to us, except that when we get the gear from the state, we're going to use it to replenish any of their stocks that they use in testing the 2 Mills County nursing homes. So that was where we were a week ago. That's where Hamilton Healthcare created this interlocal agreement to say that. Meanwhile, Tom Guthrie, since Texas AgriLife and TDM are somehow under the same umbrella at A&M, he got sent to Austin, I think it was Friday, to pick up this stuff and had to deliver it back over to Hamilton Hospital to our local health authority. And that happened Friday. And so the gear stuff is in hand, making its way back to our nursing homes. And from talking to the nursing home administrator on Saturday, they're going to be doing tests of all of their residents and staff with their own nurses mid this week, probably Wednesday and Thursday. So I think the whole thing is coming together. So the situation that is contemplated in the interlocal agreement isn't ever going to come up. But that's the history, and that's why we were asked to do it. I would recommend that we do it anyway, just in case something falls through. But I'd also, on the other hand, tell you I think it's moot at this point.
Make a motion, we'll go into an interlocal agreement with Hamilton County Hospital District.
I second it.
We have a motion from Commissioner Wright, a second from Commissioner Williams. Is there any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Thank you. I'm sorry for such a long-winded explanation.
We understand it though.
Yeah, it's accept the annual county commissioner road report. The reason the county road reports are due from commissioners in June of this year, but the road grant that TxDOT's made available for us has a deadline of tomorrow, and the grant requirements, we've already approved applying for it. It includes the grant application and a copy of the approved road report. So what Sonia has done is taken, everybody turned in the road report looking a little different. She put it all on one big spreadsheet for us, so we'll have something organized looking to submit as part of the grant approval package electronically, because we're required to submit this electronically. And this is the road report for approval. As far as I know, it's exactly as was turned in. If there's anything that's not, we can correct it through Sonia. And it's just here for approval or acceptance, actually. I don't know that we approve it. The county just accepts it. Ms. Scott, is there anything you'd like to add to that?
No, Not at this time.
I make a motion that we accept the 4 precincts commissioners' road report.
I'll second that. So we have a motion from Commissioner Williams, a second from Judge Smith to accept the road report, the consolidated 4 precinct road report. Are there any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. And we have, that has been accepted. And I know our plan next year was we'll be able to give you back this spreadsheet for each precinct. And hopefully it'll make it a lot easier going forward. Then it'll all be the same. Commissioners' reports. Commissioner, yeah.
Precinct 1, we've been busy with road work. Our dump truck that I mentioned to the court here a couple of meetings ago, the transmission didn't run on it. We're having it rebuilt. It probably will cost around $5,000 to do that. Also, the rock crusher went down last week. Once you engage the crusher, the tractor tries to put itself in park, which it does put itself in park. We have the piece of equipment I call Kirby Moore, and Kirby's one that sold it to the county, and we have it over there. He's looking at it right now, and I should get a report this afternoon. I took it to him Friday morning, and I'm planning on going over after lunch and visit with him about it to see if he's figured out what's causing it. But that's all I have, precinct 1.
Precinct 2.
We graded about a dozen roads last week. Judge, we're process grading this morning while we got some moisture. One comment I'd like to make, I've heard a lot of favorable input from various citizens. They think the courthouse lawn looks the best it's had and they can't remember when. And I want to thank Guy Burns for doing such an excellent job of taking care of our courthouse lawn and the courthouse. But everybody sees the lawn if they don't come in, and everybody's just ecstatic about how good it looks.
Thank you. Commissioner Hall.
We've been doing some road work on 132, 262. I want to thank Mike for the use of the water truck. He let us have the rock crusher one day, and he takes it back and it starts acting up on him after we had used it. So I don't know whether it's Mike or our boys, one of them. But this break on that tractor, this is not the first time it's happened.
Correct.
It has happened before.
Yeah, it happened on us. We replaced it.
So it's not a fault of any road team is what I'm putting in. And that's it for me.
Yeah, I'll add to that rock crusher. We replaced the sensor on it because that's what Kirby thought it was. So that was pretty expensive little sensor there. For my report,
Jason, and I tried to get a hold of y'all when it happened, and because I knew Coy and Kenneth had told us that y'all had replaced that, and also there was a boat that you tightened down to keep it from happening, and we tried that. It worked to get it driven over the star, but after that it goes back to normal.
Yeah. We've been doing shredding on 432 and 433, right-of-way work on 532 and 418, and a little bit of maintenance in the shop. That's it.
Thank you. On Judge's report, there's 2 things I'd like everybody to be aware of. One is I got a call from the Census Department Friday. I think when we started talking about this a month or so ago, we were about 19%. It's called self-registered, and with that is now up around 30%. Well, the census worker called to tell me they're going to reactivate field census work starting in June. And they are going to focus on our rural areas, and they're going to go out and put on people's porches a reminder to turn in their census. And they're going to everybody that's got a PO box or a rural route mailbox address, which is basically everybody that's not in the city. They're going to try to find their front porch and they're going to leave it there if something doesn't happen. And I've tried to talk them out of it and told them it was a dumb idea. And even though some of those people may have registered online, I've offered to try and keep pushing that. And they say they still have to do this physical verification. So if you hear anything about it, this is, oh, and they're also going to recruit local people to go out and do it. So it, you know, it is what it is.
Judge,
Yes.
are they gonna put that in the newspaper that they're gonna do that, or?
Well, they're going to run ads in the newspaper about the importance of the census, and whether or not they get into this silliness, I doubt it. If I hear from them again, now the other thing to do is we could put something in the paper, but I don't really have much positive. I mean, we want people to register, and recently it's worth $55 a person to us, but it's just a bad idea for people to go try and find front porches all over the county. The other thing you need to be aware of is the Office of Court Administration. That's the judicial branch of our state. It's separate from the legislative branch and the governor. They have kept courts closed except for certain critical functions until June 1st. After June 1st, they have asked each administrative district judge to have an infection control plan, if you will, approved by them, all the judges in the area, and on file with the state before they resume court. And that would be things like going back to regular monthly county court, the district court that meets here once or twice a month, and jury calls, which are can be a cattle call here. I've been given what Brown County's doing on it. It doesn't work for us, but just to give you an example, they'll be doing temperature checks outside before people come into the courthouse and requiring everybody in the courthouse to wear a mask. There are also staggering courts, so there's only one court going on at a time in the building. So the staggering part we can do pretty easily. We're going to try and come up with and limiting the number of people on the elevator to one family unit at a time. So we're trying this week to come up with a solution that doesn't hamstring our ability for the offices in the county courthouse to operate. And we have 4 or 5 doors. We can't have somebody at each door checking temperature. And I don't think it's practical to shut it all down to one door. So you'll hear about it before anything gets done, but this is separate from, this is the part people will get confused on. You have the governor saying, for instance, back to business as normal, masks are recommended but not mandatory. You have the court system, which can have a different set of rules from the governor. And they're going to say things like mask mandatory, whenever possible, using Zoom, social distancing, control of entrances to courthouse, and requirements PPE inside a courthouse.
Is the county required to furnish the mask? Is that going to be a mandatory deal? The county will have.
If whatever we end up doing, the county's going to get stuck with the expense of operating this courthouse. So, one option may be, and I haven't talked to law enforcement about it, or the district judge is saying, okay, let's just do all the district court in Brown County. Now that's going to impose a work on law enforcement, on prisoner transport. It may impose extra work on Gerald Hale's office. It will impose extra work on our clerk, who is also the district clerk. but it's a trade-off. And so I don't know how this
What's
is
the
going to
difference in
play
the
out.
cost of us hiring somebody to man the door with a
Well-
temperature and a mask?
We can put that, you know, we got the grant money potentially to do that. Then it's going to be a question of who, and it's not so much the courts staff, they'll get that. But it's people coming in to renew their license plate or to file something in the clerk's office. It's going to have to go through that too.
They're gonna have to go through that.
Yeah, unless we can station it up at the entrance to the courtroom door. So,
Will it ever get back to normal? That's the $64 question, is it not? When we deemed, I guess.
you know, if I knew the answer to that, I'd have a real job.
Well, they say, June the 1st,
Yeah,
back to normal.
that's the executive and legislative branch doing that.
But I wonder about, like I say, the separate decisions that we made through Mills County, Brown County, and Comanche County,
Yeah.
all counties. I guess it's gonna be up to the county.
Yeah, actually, it's up to the administrative district judge on this stuff, but yeah.
Judge,
Yes,
so does this have anything to do with the hours of operation, like from the Texas Transportation and say the clerk's office, and with their hours changing and all that, or is that just each office is doing different things?
I'm not sure I understand the question, but shuffling the hours of operation for the courts to avoid conflicts and overlaps is definitely in the cards.
Well, I just saw that it was posted that the hours were gonna change in the clerk's office, and then the DPS said they were changing hours, so I didn't know.
Yeah, the clerk's office posting was just something by the clerk's office that's unrelated to anything else.
Okay,
The DPS is, again, it's a state agency. They're trying to go by appointment only, starting sometime in mid-June. And that's unrelated to this. Mr. Hale, would you like to add anything?
Well, I'm very selfish about Mills County taking care of its own business, and I definitely don't like the part about letting Brown County do any of our business. I'm sorry, that's just me.
So you would be opposed to us asking district court to only meet in Brown County?
Yes.
Noted.
We've always kind of been a stepchild anyway, and I just don't like it. I'm sorry, that's my opinion, for whatever.
yeah, I kind of agree with Gerald. I think if you start that, it may stay over there.
That's a good point. I was just selfishly trying to avoid having to wear a mask to the office. Okay, that's all I've got. There's nothing else on the agenda, so I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
We have a motion from Commissioner Wright, a second from Commissioner Hall. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Meeting adjourned.